The US NES marketplace boasted an impressive amount of high-caliber titles, but it also sadly missed out on a lot of import-worthy gems. On this special Cygnus Destroyer video, we're going to take a look at some of the best NES games that were unreleased in America. Yes, my friends, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Trolls in Crazyland is a 1993 NES game based on the ugly as sin but tremendously popular dolls of the same name, and it's surprisingly decent overall. This Famicom reskin cash grab places the player into the shoes of the haunting looking hero as he blasts his way through an army of killer clowns, hostile natives, and Cybermen in order to rescue his kidnapped girlfriend. While Crazyland is far from the upper echelon of licensed tie-ins, it's miles above the similarly canceled California Raisins in quality, and it's absolutely worth checking out for the novelty factor alone. Longtime viewers of this channel are probably familiar with Asterix from my earlier review of the Genesis version, but there have been countless games based on the famous French franchise over the years, and one of the most notable adaptations was released to the PAL region for the NES in 1993. In stark contrast to his 16-bit successor, this Infogram's title only features the celebrated Gaul as a playable character, and he's armed with nothing more than his powerful fists of fury to wipe out the invading Romans and navigate the perilous platforming pitfalls. The action isn't quite as tight as some of the other entries in the genre, and the controls leave a little to be desired, but the amazing music by Alberto Gonzalez more than makes up for these frustrating flaws. If you're a fan of The Great Rescue and you want to go on another adventure with Asterix, then you owe it to yourself to check this out. There were a bunch of Bible games for the NES, but only one has the Nintendo seal of approval on its label and a production credit from Konami, and that is the PAL exclusive Noah's Ark. This auto-scrolling platformer takes extreme liberties with its source material as it imbues the bearded protagonist with an array of magical abilities that are employed in saving the innocent animals from the heathens and wicked sinners that are encountered along the journey. As the programming duties were delegated to the Rookie Studio, Source Research and Development, the quality isn't quite up to the usual Konami standards, but the graphics are colorful and cute, the music is off the chain, and the mechanics are rock solid. In the Battle of the Noah's Arks, the Super Nintendo version is the clear-cut winner for the novelty factor alone, but there are still enough redeemable traits to recommend this NES release, and anyone who has a fondness for the Wisdom Tree titles such as myself should definitely seek it out. Continuing further into licensed territory is the new Ghostbusters 2 from HAL Laboratories. This yin to the Activision yang ditches the side-scrolling format in favor of an isometric environment where the quintessential paranormal investigators perform their iconic duties. As anyone who's played the other 8-bit Ghostbusters games should know, the change in perspective greatly improved the formula, and HAL did a fantastic job of capturing the vibe of the films and creating a fun and unique NES experience. If there's something strange in your neighborhood and you're in the mood for that tasty retro goodness, then the new Ghostbusters 2 is definitely the one to call. Kung Fu 2 essentially takes the IRAM NES launch title and gives it an adrenaline shot of growth hormones to raise it to a whole new level. The core gameplay mechanics and controls remain largely unaltered, but the graphics have been given a major overhaul complete with Vice Project Doom as cutscenes. The level layouts have received a comparable makeover, and our red-clad master of the martial arts unleashes his skills in a variety of environments that span across the land, sea, and air. As should be perfectly clear by now, Kung Fu 2 successfully improves upon everything that made its predecessor great, and anyone who's looking for a decent challenge should download the free ROM from Packensack Dave's website. IRAM is at it again with the 1992 UK exclusive Hammer and Harry. Initially designed for the arcade market, Hammer and Harry tells the tale of the pissed-off, displaced homeowner and his subsequent quest for revenge. The titular hero wields his signature weapon with reckless abandon and encounters a multitude of enemies and obstacles ensured to please pixel purists of all ages. While Hammer and Harry would eventually be introduced to the US via a PSP title, the series is still largely obscure to North American audiences, so it's about time we rectify that by recognizing the greatness of this NES release. If you took the aesthetic of the Taito Flintstone titles and mixed it with Kickle Cubicle's quirkiness, then the result would probably look a lot like Banana Prince. This Takara entry in the Famicom library is about a royal caveman and his stolen treasure. The gameplay sticks largely to the standard side-scrolling format, but switches it up occasionally with bonus gambling and trivia sections. I found Banana Prince's equal emphasis on eccentricity and cuteness to be endearing, yet for some sad reason it was only released for the NES in Germany. Nevertheless, the ROM has been widely available for years now, and it's absolutely worth seeking out to go on this wild and wacky ride. Time Diver Eon Man is a platformer in the vein of NES Batman produced in a collaboration between Taito and Atlas. The story sets up the basic format and is depicted in a sequence of classic comic book style panels. We travel from one era to the next, beating up baddies and rescuing our kidnapped family members before repeating the process anew. Repetitive nature aside, Time Diver Eon Man's clever concept was excellently executed overall, so it's a shame that it was ultimately cancelled before release. Fortunately, the ROM dumping community gave it a second chance at life, and it's now available to be purchased as a reproduction cartridge. Sunsoft was known for their proven track record during the NES era, and Euphoria helped contribute to their reputation in the international marketplace. Euphoria is a Metroid-esque non-linear adventure about 4 super cute characters and their quest to return home after getting lost in a strange foreign land. The story starts with the quartet being separated a la the jail sequence in Bucky O'Hare, and they have to be reunited in order to access their unique skills. The Bucky O'Hare similarities continue into this aspect of the gameplay, as there are certain areas that can only be successfully traversed by specific characters. For example, Freon Leon can steadily walk on ice, and Shades can jump higher than the rest of his companions. This is a very exciting dynamic and enriches the overall experience in a wholly unique manner, so I'm left completely dumbfounded by the fact that this was never released in the US. Thankfully, that mistake has finally been corrected, and you can now purchase this on the Wii U Virtual Console for only $5. If you own a Wii U and have a Lincoln burning a hole in your pocket, then you should definitely spend it on that. I could think of 100 words to describe Bioforce Ape, but if I had to sum it up in one, it would be awesome! The Seta Obscurity ascended to legendary status via a series of prank discoveries over the years, but it was eventually legitimately dumped to the internet, and the world was finally able to experience its glory firsthand. The story is simple and is entailed in entirety on the title screen, but the presentation is truly awe-inspiring, and the frame rate puts Sonic the Hedgehog to shame. I mean, just look at this! If that's not one of the coolest things I've ever seen, then I don't know what is! As far as I'm concerned, Bioforce Ape is a must-play for NES enthusiasts, and I give it my strongest seal of approval! Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti is the cute and cuddly counterpart to the dark and sinister 16-bit trilogy of the same name. Wanpaku Graffiti takes the trademark horror elements of the franchise but filters it through a comedic lens to create something altogether original. There are satirical references to The Fly and Thriller interspersed with the typical ghouls and ghosts, and the hatches swinging and shotgun blasting action are accentuated by tight controls. To put it another way, if the original Splatterhouse is Evil Dead, then Wanpaku Graffiti is Army of Darkness, and this should be right up the alley of anyone who likes a little bit of humor mixed in with their horror. This last nugget of 8-bit treasure needs no introduction, as the word of its brilliance spread quickly among the retro community, and NES fanatics of all ages were salivating at the prospect of playing this promising platformer that had the potential to rival even the giants of the genre. My friends, if you haven't heard of this work of art, let me have the honor of introducing you to the one and only Mr. Gimmick. Ah yes, Mr. Gimmick, aka Sunsoft's masterpiece. Of all the games covered in this video, this is the one we were most shafted by its absence. Beneath its bright and bubbly exterior lies some seriously innovative mechanics, and the presentation stretches the boundaries of what the NES was capable of. The animation is beyond incredible, and the music is memorably moody, and this, combined with the revolutionary bouncing charge shot, sets Gimmick in a whole different league from its peers. While the majority of the gaming world had moved on to the Super Nintendo by the time of its release, those in the UK and Japan who remained firmly in the 8-bit camp were treated to this brilliant delight from Sunsoft, and now, thanks to the internet, we can all share in that same glory. There we have it, 12 extraordinary NES games that failed to reach the US. If you want to give them a try, then you're gonna have to download the ROMs, because Euphoria is the only one available on the digital marketplaces, and the cartridges themselves are rare and super expensive. ROMs are of course a hot button issue, and their lack of legality presents a moral dilemma for many, but being that they're currently the only way to experience these overlooked gems, I have no problem with going the emulation route, and I hope that you all do the same. Anyway, now that I've had my fill of obscure NES goodness, I've got to get to work on the long overdue sequel to one of my fan game videos. Be sure to come back for that, but until then, this is Matt, aka Cygnus Destroyer, signing out! Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, the boxes on the screen right now will lead to some more of my videos, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking on my avatar in the bottom right hand corner. Thanks again!